Welcome and bienvenidos to Soccer Over There. I am not going to do a Buffer impression because I don't want to get sued, and I'm not Nick Alifi.
Nope.
He's over here next to me getting set for the run-up tonight, which you can listen to on our Normal Soccer Down Here network. You can also, if you are listening to this and are interested, shoot us a message, and we will share with you where you can watch. We're testing some things. It's a pilot episode, folks. All right, we're hoping to get picked up for a full season run. How about that?
There you go. Renewals and long-term contracts, syndication deals, all that stuff.
Hopefully. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
We get to season 3, we get the big syndication dollars.
No, David Schwimmer. No, that's not happening. Not happening. I don't think anyway. I hope so. I'd like to be brought back for a reunion episode, 10 years after the final episode, and make $2 or $3 million to sit down and just talk about the show that I did.
Well, didn't Jennifer Aniston go on her Instagram yesterday and say it's happening and then use the hashtag HBO Max?
They all did. Every single one of them tweeted that, and they're all getting paid a lot of money. They're doing the reunion show. Did you miss that?
I didn't know it was a show. I thought it was like a reboot of the series.
No, they're not doing a reboot. That would take a whole lot more money than $2 or $3 million. These people make some bank.
So basically, they're just going to sit there and talk about it for like an hour.
Probably, yeah.
And Matt LeBlanc's going to make like $8.
No, they all get the same. They were Three Musketeers or Six Musketeers, all about it. They all got the same amount.
So is
why you gotta hate on Matt LeBlanc, by the way?
What about is Maggie Wheeler going to come on and make $8?
Who is Maggie Wheeler? No,
Chandler's girlfriend.
No. Sorry, Maggie.
Janice.
No, you're not part of the Six. You don't get to come in and make millions of dollars to sit and talk about the show. It's the people who are on the show.
Janice. Janice.
So you're going to go deep into Friends impressions, and you've never seen Dazed and Confused, John. I'm very disappointed.
Accurate.
God. All right, let's talk some soccer over there because there was a big game today.
Yes, there was, and this place was packed.
It was packed this afternoon here at the Brewhouse Cafe, and Liverpool was trailing at one point, and they ended up winning the thing 2-1, or they won, 3-2?
3-2.
They were trailing 2-1.
Yes.
Is Liverpool the greatest team in Premier League history?
I think the folks at Arsenal might have something to say about that.
I think they'd be wrong. They drew like 12 games.
Yeah.
Liverpool has what? They've done what?
One.
Yeah, they've got 106 out of the last 108 points
Which
available.
Is insane.
They're the best Premier League team ever. There's just no question about it anymore.
Believable.
I mean, if they lose the rest of their games, okay, maybe we'll have a conversation, but I don't see that happening. If they finish on any kind of a tear like they're currently on, they are the greatest Premier League team ever, and Arsenal is nowhere close.
But let me ask you this. The further that we get into this, do you think more people are going to hate Liverpool?
Oh, that's already started. That started late last season, I think. The backlash, because it's what everybody does, right? You know? Friends, everybody loved it for a while, and then when it was the big thing, people were obsessed, and there were viewing parties and drinking games and well, it wasn't blogs at that point. I don't know what you call those websites. GeoCities websites about it. And then the next year it was like, oh, we don't like these people anymore.
But then they started to have
No, they just didn't like them anymore. You're going to come up with reasons to try to justify it. It's called backlash.
Joey and Rachel. I mean,
backlash.
Come on.
There's a lot of people who would fight you over that, by the way.
Not a fan of that.
Backlash. That's what Liverpool is getting right now. They're getting
blowback.
Better than everybody else, and nobody's even close backlash right now.
But when your coach sits there and is poor mouthing, we can't buy any players, we can't do this, we can't do that.
I don't know if he said we can't buy any players.
We haven't spent any money in comparison to other folks.
Yeah, that's a little more of it. No, I don't like that stuff. I don't think it's helping. But the backlash would happen regardless. It wouldn't have mattered if it was all sunshine and daisies and happy things and
Pumping
there was
sunshine.
no controversy, no nothing. There would still be backlash. It's just the nature of sports at this point.
No doubt.
But this is a team that won the Champions League last year. This is a team that had an incredible season last year but came up just a tiny bit short, and having an even better season this year. This 2-year run for Liverpool is the greatest the Premier League's ever seen.
absolutely insane what they have done over the last year plus, and you wonder when in the British theater they're going to lose.
And here you go. You have to focus on the negative because that's what people do.
Because you look at the streak and you're sitting there going, how long can this go?
Doesn't matter. I mean, I don't think it really honestly matters because the goals for Liverpool are to win their first Premier League title. They've pretty much already done that.
Yep.
I don't think they care about the points total. They also want to defend their Champions League title. And if they do a back-to-back in the Champions League and win the Premier League, you're not going to be able to point anything negative at that team.
No.
So if they drop some league matches because of Champions League, so what? It doesn't matter. Like it really, at this point, they've been so good all season long, it really does not even matter if they drop points anywhere.
Well, then, let me ask you this. As someone who follows the game in theaters outside Europe, can you think of a team anywhere that has had a run like this ever in the history of ever that has done something like Liverpool has been able to do?
I mean, ever? Yeah, there's teams that have done things like this in the 30s and 40s and 50s. In modern times, no. This is ridiculous, and it's a credit to Jurgen Klopp. It's a credit to the ownership at Liverpool. They've nailed their recruitment. They have spent money. Don't give me that nonsense. They have. They've spent money. They have also, and I think this is the credit to them, is they have brought in a number of players that they didn't have to spend crazy money on that have developed, and now they're able to pay crazy money to keep these players. That's a big, important part of it because not a lot of clubs are able to do that. But Liverpool is really writing the book on how to do this at this point, and we'll see if anybody can keep up.
All right, here are the records that they're chasing down and when they could break them. Longest consecutive run of wins is 18, Manchester City in 2017-18 season. When could they break it? At Watford this weekend. So that's one. Longest unbeaten run is Arsenal. When could they break that? It'd be Aston Villa, April 11th. Arsenal, 49 games unbeaten. So that's the discussion that everybody has with Arsene Wenger's Invincibles. And to get to the half century, at Norwich, at Watford, at Everton, at Manchester City, April 4th. West Ham's at home, Bournemouth's at home, Crystal Palace at home, Villa's at home. So it would be Norwich, West Ham, Watford, Bournemouth, Everton, Palace, City, Villa to get them to 50. Most wins in a year was 32. They could get that by winning at Brighton on April 18th. Most points is 100. They could get that April 25th against Burnley. Most points in a Premier League season is that 100 that Manchester City got. Most away wins in a season, Manchester City 2017-18 at Arsenal May the 2nd. Then you've got most home wins of 18, beating Chelsea May the 9th. They'll get that for you. Longest time unbeaten, 537 days, and that was Arsenal. When could they break that? At Newcastle on May 17th. Biggest title-winning margin, 19 points. We know they're probably going to blow that one out of the water. Liverpool could get that April 4th against Manchester City. So that's what you're chasing here. All of those records, and with what we've seen so far, they all look attainable.
All that's nice, but I think Liverpool's aims have shifted to Europe now.
Yep.
And they lost 1-0 in Madrid to Atleti last week. Manageable. I mean, they're in a good position going home. You know Diego Simeone is going to have his players with not a knife between their teeth, but a machete between their teeth at Anfield. And you know they're going to come in and be very defensive and sit back and try to hold that 1-0 lead. I don't think they can. They can hit you on the counter, so you have to be careful about it. But I do think Liverpool managed that as well as they could, and they should be fine in the second leg. The other games from the first leg last week, Dortmund 2-1 over PSG, Atalanta 4-1 at home over Valencia, and Tottenham at home lost 1-0 to RB Leipzig. Tomorrow, 3 o'clock, Chelsea hosting Bayern, Napoli hosting Barcelona. Wednesday, 3 o'clock, Lyon hosting Juventus, and Real Madrid and Manchester City, which was already a fascinating match, but now with the Manchester City issues, This thing is a telenovela like we've never seen.
You're not
because
wrong.
Manchester City is out for blood when it comes to UEFA.
Yeah, and it makes Manchester City games, if you thought it was must-see viewing normally with all of the subplot and all of the stuff that's been going on recently, it makes it even more so. To get it to the front of the line or at least on your last button very, very quickly.
I don't know. I think that's probably the one you're watching. No offense to Leon and Juventus.
No.
I think Real Madrid, Manchester City is the one you're watching. What about tomorrow? Which one are you more interested in? Chelsea, Bayern, or Napoli, Barcelona?
Ooh, Napoli, Barcelona.
Why?
Just because I don't like Chelsea.
All right, that's really simple.
Not a fan of Chelsea, just really not.
Okay, well let's talk about Napoli and Barcelona. It's kind of interesting. Napoli's been in the Champions League a lot lately, and this is the first competitive match ever between Napoli and Barcelona.
I would never have guessed that.
They have never, ever met. Napoli has been eliminated in their last two Champions League or European Cup series with Spanish opposition, both times against Real Madrid. Barcelona, this is the one that shocked me. Their last away win in Italy in the Champions League came in April 2006 when they beat Milan. They have not won in Italy since then.
Barcelona's at plus 115. Napoli's at plus 225. On our juice boxes, the draw option is at plus 250.
I would lean Barcelona because Napoli is just a mess right now. I think Barcelona gets it done. If it turns into a draw, I wouldn't be shocked. But Barca, even with them being somewhat dysfunctional at the moment, I think Barca's got to be a pretty clear favorite in this.
Yeah, I think that they'll be able to lock it down tomorrow. Bayern, by the way, is a 3-for-4 favorite. So what is that, a minus 125 to win, and Chelsea is a plus 333.
Last time those two met was the 2012 final that went to penalties, and Chelsea won. It was the Drogba goal deep in extra time, right?
Oh, yeah.
That sent that to penalties. Here's the one that maybe you will watch Chelsea and Bayern. The last four times these two teams met in competition, 17 goals. So an average of 4.25 per game.
Okay.
Which is kind of weird because, I mean, you think of Chelsea so many times in the last, 10, 15 years as being very defensive. For whatever reason, things open up when they play Bayern. So
the total at plus 2.5, or the total at 2.5, the over is at minus 138.
See, people, they were checking the history. They were checking the stats on it. Frank Lampard is telling his players that they must be ready to suffer against Bayern. Bayern has been much better since their managerial change. I don't know, and that's what's kind of crazy when you look at the teams we've talked about here in the last couple of matches. So Napoli, mess. Barcelona, mess. Both have had managerial changes this season.
Yep.
Chelsea, not a mess, but also not really a team that you expected to be at this stage with Frank Lampard in his first year.
Agreed.
Bayern has changed managers this season. It's a weird one. It's a weird Champions League with so many major clubs. I mean, it was just a couple months ago that we were talking about Zinedine Zidane and how long is he going to be at Real Madrid after he walked back in and basically could call his shot on what he wanted. It's a strange one. How do you think Chelsea does here, this young squad facing Bayern?
I've got Bayern winning it by 2.
At Stamford Bridge?
Yeah.
That's a little harsh on Chelsea, I would
just
think.
got Chelsea on the quick turn, coming out of Premier League play this weekend. From what I can remember,
it's a good win over Tottenham.
Lampard didn't rotate his squad. He won over Tottenham. So I'm thinking, I just don't know on quick turn if they're going to have the sustaining power to last for a full 90. I'm thinking something happens to turn it from a 1-goal to a 2-goal somewhere between minute 70 and minute 90.
I don't know. I think Chelsea will keep it tighter than that, but can they stop Robert Lewandowski? 38 goals in 32 matches for Bayern Munich this season. It's absurd.
The answer for me would be a no.
We'll see if things go like they did in training today. This is from the Telegraph. Cesar Azpilicueta went 2-footed into Frank Lampard. Got him good.
Nathan Pugh, by the way, in a sidebar, has posted his Jurgen Klopp in the sunglasses David Caruso gif.
Yeah, I mean, he should. That's where Liverpool is right now. But if they lose to Atletico Madrid, then what's the conversation going to be? I don't think they do. I think they handle it. But would that be a disappointment with where Liverpool has been this season?
No doubt.
It would be a disappointment if they won the Premier League for the first time ever.
Oh, I thought if they lost to Atletico.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There are two different things. If they win the Premier League, but they get knocked out in the round of 16 in Champions League.
Yeah. Disappointing season.
You got to be kidding me.
You win the Premier League for the first time in the history of the league, but you don't have you're not close enough to repeating in the Champions League, something that you want to accomplish. I think the season turns into a but.
That would be incredibly harsh, and it would go with that backlash thing that we're talking about. That's not fair. Liverpool's never had the Premier League trophy in their grasp. They've been close a few times. They have not done it. And to win that, I think it trumps everything. They won Champions League last year. It's not like they haven't won it in a while. I would be shocked if there was any disappointment if they don't win Champions League. There shouldn't be. Losing here would be surprising, for sure.
Yeah.
But at the end of the season, would it be a disappointing season or but? It shouldn't be. And if certain pundits want to go down that road, I would disagree with them.
All right, and just so you know, the early numbers from our friends at Bet365 for the match on March 11th.
Okay.
Liverpool minus 444 to win.
Yeah.
And Atleti is plus 800.
Whew.
8-1.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
And the draw is plus 280. You see, I can see your brain working juice boxes on that.
No, that's a teaser one because nobody thinks it's actually going to happen. So, it's not happening.
Okay.
Not happening. Liverpool gets through. They handle it well. Let's talk a little CONCACAF Champions League for a minute. So, things went as expected in the first legs, I think, with the exception of maybe the León LAFC match for some. I don't think they expected that. The rest of it, there's really not any major surprises in it in my mind.
The 2-1 loss by Tigres?
Alianza was one of the most difficult teams last season that didn't get through. And Tigres is playing very poorly. So I think what it shows you is the Central American teams that are easy to write off because you're talking about budgets in a different world. You're talking about, teams that are smaller. At home, they can cause you some problems. You have to bring your A game in there. And I think we saw it with the MLS teams and the Mexican teams that went down there. The MLS teams struggled after about 60 minutes. Honestly, with the exception of Atlanta. I think Atlanta was okay managing that game. Seattle could have gotten out of there with a win, but the legs fell off. Montreal had bad injury luck, and the legs fell off. So LAFC, I don't think they really prioritized the Champions League. They would not have traded Walker Zimmerman when they did for the amount they did if they prioritized the Champions League.
Yeah.
So we'll see what that ends up doing for them this season. I'm a little skeptical now, but we'll find out what happens. The rest of it, Comunicaciones getting a draw with Club America. That's a similar result for what Atlanta did with Motagua. Seattle maybe not holding the lead, a little surprising, although the player who scored 2 goals probably should have been red carded.
Yes.
So that maybe changes your thought process there. Tigres is just not playing well. And that's the challenge with the way that the CONCACAF Champions League is set up. Tigres qualified a while back. They're not the same team right now. And it's showing. Can they take care of business? They should. They should beat Alianza at home. They should be able to overturn that one, but there's no guarantees the current form they're in.
Saprissa and Montreal. Montreal scores 2 off the top, but then Saprissa comes back with 2 in the final 10 minutes to get the draw there to take everything back to Montreal.
Thierry Henry had to use all 3 subs on injuries, and 2 of them in the first half. So to get out of there at 2-2, take it and run. Take it and absolutely run.
And then, obviously, NYCFC putting up 5 on the road against San Carlos.
Yeah, and that's to be expected. When you look at San Carlos and you look at how they've played this season and just the type of club that they are in the happy-to-be-here mode. And it's a club that is outside of the powers in Costa Rica and just is not at this level. And it showed. NYC, honestly, slacked off a little bit at the end. That's why they gave up a few goals, but they're in cruise control at this point. So this is about what you would expect in the round of 16 in CONCACAF. You get some mismatches, but those first legs can be somewhat tricky. Now, in the second legs, I think the one that a lot of people are going to have their eyes on is in Los Angeles. Can LAFC overturn a 2-goal deficit against Leon? And I think the bigger question that's going to decide it is, can they avoid conceding a goal? And I don't know if that's possible, as they have to go find 2 themselves just to equalize. I don't know if it's possible for them to avoid conceding. And
the youth on the back line, Walker Zimmerman not there, Tristan Blackman being put into that.
No, Blackman's at right back. It's Dejan Jakovic, who's the opposite of youth.
Yes.
You're talking about a player who can't keep up at this pace anymore. It's just not being prepared for the situation. Either Blackman's going to come in the middle and you have to have somebody at right back, or you have to have somebody with more pace than Jakovic in the middle. And that's the problem here for LAFC. That's why you cannot say that you've prioritized CONCACAF Champions League if you trade Walker Zimmerman for a nice return, but not a return that blows your mind. You can't say that you prioritize it if you make that trade a week before the tournament.
Right now, the only juice box on the board is Atlanta and Motagua on Tuesday.
And we will save that for the show in the morning.
All right. Then we will save that for the show in the morning. So then you look at the MLS sides that have made their way in and gotten through the first legs, getting ready for the second legs. I'm wondering if I should ask this question tonight and then again tomorrow to see if your opinion changes.
Okay.
What MLS side outside of LAFC do you think is in the most jeopardy of not getting out of the first round?
Montreal. I mean, I think it's got to be Montreal just because they're the weakest team. Atlanta's in prime position. I think Seattle's in prime position. New York City's obviously in prime position. So Montreal's the one in the most jeopardy because they're playing the best opponent out of those teams, and they're also the weakest team out of those teams.
And the injuries?
Yeah, the injuries are part of it, but I think even if everybody was fully healthy, they'd still be a question mark. Camacho is out for a little while, and they've got a few reinforcements, but I don't know. I think Montreal is more of a work in progress, and if they had been able to hold on to the lead, maybe I'd feel a little bit different, but Saprissa, one goal win. They go through at 1-0. I think Saprissa finds a way to win.
I could definitely see that. And the breakdown once again, the early game is Atlanta Motagua tomorrow. The late game tomorrow is Portmore and Cruz Azul.
Vamos, Portmore.
Yes. Had the 1-0 lead and gave up 2 in the other end of 90 minutes.
I will have a red stripe when I get home from Kennesaw if Portmore can find a way to get through there.
So awesome. And then on Wednesday, it is looking at the early. It's Alianza Tigres is the earliest of the early. NYCFC San Carlos at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, that's what happens when you're borrowing somebody else's place to throw a party.
So that's at 6. That's on FS2 and TUDN. Your 8 o'clock's Alianza and Tigres, Saprissa, and IMFC, and then your late game.
The 8 o'clock games are going to be really good on Wednesday.
Yep. And Alianza Tigres is listed as being Fox Soccer Plus and 2 to NA. And the 8 o'clock is Saprissa Montreal FS2, 2 to NA Extra 1, and TSN 5 for those of you who have TSN.
Yeah, I don't. I'll be flipping back and forth between 2 to NA and FS2.
Comunicaciones in America is your late game on Wednesday.
I'll be watching that one, too. That should be fun.
And then on Thursday, Leon LAFC. That's on FS1 and 2 to NA at 10 o'clock. Also at 10 o'clock, Olympia and Seattle FS2 and 2 to NA Extra 1.
All right. So, CONCACAF Champions League this week. UEFA Champions League this week. Get a little Mondays with Reddit real quick here.
Mondays with Reddit.
So, Paul Pogba said this. I didn't know Paul Pogba was actually talking about soccer anymore, but, maybe he shows up occasionally.
Okay.
As a Manchester United player, we don't want them, Liverpool, to win the title. But as a lover of football, I must admit they deserve to be where they are today. Are they a fun team to watch for you, John?
Manchester United?
Liverpool. He's talking about Liverpool.
Fun?
No, everybody knows Manchester United's not fun to watch right now.
Define fun.
Nathan Pugh's probably throwing things at the moment.
Fine.
But
he can throw all of his Jurgen Klopp gifts at me all he wants.
Okay,
Define fun.
then what's not fun? Because you're acting like it's not fun. No. What's not fun about Liverpool?
There's a certain amount of artistry about it with Mane and Salah up top. But, I think that for me, I start at the back, and you see what you see Van Dijk and Alexander-Arnold and all of the guys at the back and how they just lock things down every single week. For me, I don't necessarily look at Liverpool as being fun. I look at them as executing the game plan the way that it's supposed to be done every week.
Italian defense stalwart over here, Nick Alifi's about to throw things at you for mocking teams that are strong defensively. Man. He's I'm going to keep the mic away from him so he doesn't say.
He's doing the French fry haka is what he's doing.
He's going to say something that's going to get us all in trouble.
No, he's got a mouthful of fries. He can't say anything.
Yeah. I think Liverpool's a fun team to watch. They're not a boring team.
No.
And that's one thing I look for. Fun isn't a stock definition in this game. I have fun watching teams that score 5 goals a game and just open it up. Sometimes those teams can be very sloppy and boring, too.
But I have just as much fun seeing a goalless draw that can go
Then
back
why are
and
you
forth.
trashing defense? You just said, they're good defensively. That's not fun. That's not good.
And I'm not saying that it's not fun.
But you did say that's not fun. I don't know what you're doing now. Tell me, is it fun or not?
I can appreciate a pitcher's duel just as much as I can.
So can you appreciate Liverpool as a team?
I can appreciate them, yes, definitely.
Are they fun to watch?
Are they fun to watch?
That's a no. That would be a no from John. I think they're fun to watch. I think Jurgen Klopp is doing something pretty special. And when he came into the Premier League, for my mind, not completely one-dimensional, but far more one-dimensional than he is now. I think he's adjusted. I think he's adjusted to teams taking away his bread and butter of counter-pressing. Teams don't want to get out in front against Liverpool right now in terms of having the ball on, in the final third, attacking. They don't want the ball. They're sitting back and defending because of all that firepower. That's a very big adjustment for Liverpool, who had to learn how to play differently, had to learn how to play as a front runner. I think Jurgen Klopp's done that. And, I'm not the biggest fan of the German just counterattack, counter-press style. After a while, it feels like it's just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and there's not much going on there. I think he's progressed past that. And you have to give him and what he's done at Liverpool a ton of credit, because a lot of managers come in with one idea of how to play, and they don't evolve. He has. And you have to give him credit for that. And if you love the game, I think you have to look at that and enjoy it. And there's a lot of things to look at with that team.
Joey Logan has come in this evening, and he says, I retort.
He retorts.
He retorts
what?
that Manchester United aren't fun at Longshoe.
Joey.
2-game winning streak and first clean sheet all season for David De Gea. Double crying emoji.
That's a mocking retort.
Yes, it was a mocking retort.
I want Manchester United to be fun, and I think they can be in time, but I think they're always going to be limited in the fun aspect while Ed Woodward's around. Just go, Ed. Just go.
Yes,
please. Just go.
Please go.
Just go.
Oh, go.
Ole's doing fine. I mean, Ole is trying to get something out of a group that's not complete and not honestly good enough to compete in the Premier League. If he gets them into a Champions League spot, build him a statue on the training ground. I want Manchester United to be more fun again, but it's not.
They're a painful watch at times.
Well, they just don't have. They don't have enough that catches your eye. There's some talent there. There's some young guys that are developing.
Yeah.
But there's not enough, and it feels disjointed at times. They feel very incomplete. And that's the biggest difference for me when you look at them. You look at, obviously, Liverpool and Manchester City. But take it a step further in the table. You look at Chelsea. They feel more complete to me. They don't feel like they have any glaring holes. Manchester United does. Tottenham, I think when they're healthy, they're more complete.
Yes.
When they're not healthy, nobody's complete when you're not healthy. Arsenal, I mean, maybe they're more complete than Arsenal, but I don't know. Both of them have fallen off. It's a weird time to look at it now and to start to project what happens next year. So can Liverpool stay this dominant? Don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, it's hard to do what they've done in 2 years to do it for a third year. It's very hard to do that. Manchester City, who even has a clue what they're going to be next year, or what they're going to be allowed to do or any of that. We'll have to wait and see. Leicester, can they hang out where they are? Can they stay where they are? Can they solidify themselves as a top 4 team? I don't know if that's a definite yes yet. I think it's leaning that way. I think the Magic 8 Ball would say that signs
likely.
Point to yes, but I don't know if it's a definite yet. You've got another whole cast of characters behind that, new kids on the block and established clubs that I don't know who's going to be there next year. It's in some ways a really interesting time in England because of that. Because for a while there, England was just your best 4, that was it. Your top 4, and it's the top 4, and it's always the top 4, and it's nobody else. Now, my fear was that Liverpool and Manchester City would run away from everybody. I don't think next year has that feel to it. I think Liverpool will obviously be the big favorite, but can they do this again? Can they do what nobody's done in England and dominate it this way over a 3-year period? I don't know. Is the motivation going to be the same? Is it going to change? How's it going to look?
How much of
next
this
year?
roster is going to be the same? Who's going to be hanging out? And I think with Leicester, you look at the owner. You look at Top, and you wonder, as the son, is he going to see bright lights and a third-place finish and sit there and throw money at the thing and sit there and say, okay, we got our opportunity, here's our window to do whatever? Or are they going to continue to build and do it smartly with the acquisitions that they've had this year with guys like Soyuncu at the back, bringing in Tielemans the year before, late last season? You've got Jamie Vardy, who's a part of it. You have James at the back. You've got Schmeichel still as the guy between the sticks. But the biggest thing for me is, can Leicester continue to do it smartly and not just completely and totally throw money at the problem to try to fix it?
Throwing money at the problem when they did it and didn't try to hide it worked for Manchester City. Throwing money at the problem worked for Liverpool. I don't think you can. I think my pushback on what you said would be you can throw money at the problem and still be smart.
Yes.
That's the key. They have the money. It's not like Leicester can't spend in this status. Can they spend as much as Liverpool and Manchester City? No, probably not.
No.
But can they spend as much as the rest around them? Pretty close. I mean, maybe Manchester United could spend more, but like that matters with Ed Woodward, really. I mean, he's the one-man handicap for Manchester United in their financial situation. So Leicester can, I think, be just fine. I don't think they're going to be hurt by money. I think for them, it is about consolidating over the long haul in this position. Can they reestablish themselves as a top 5, top 6 team in England year in, year out? Because they didn't last time. When they won the title, they didn't do that. Can they do it this time? Because you're going to have Champions League. You're going to have more pressure. Can they take the Sharpie out and write 6th or better next year?
Yeah.
I don't know yet. I hope so, because I'd like to see that, kind of change up a little bit, some new faces. I like Brendan Rodgers. I like the way he, I think, sees the game. I think he's learned a lot from near misses in the past few years. I think he's definitely developed a lot from his time at Liverpool, where he was very good. But can now they become not an underdog, but one of the big boys? Because that's a whole different mindset.
It is. And then with Spurs, obviously everyone's sitting there saying, can Daniel Levy please spend some money? And you know that Jose Mourinho will encourage that as much as humanly possible.
Encourage? That's the word you're going to use for Jose?
Yeah.
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 That's one way to put it.
Uh-huh.
Jose, I highly recommend going and watching interviews with Jose Mourinho if you want a good laugh from time to time, because that guy's funny. I mean, incredibly sarcastic,
Yes.
and sometimes borderline evil's not the right word, but
Cutting?
oh no, he's definitely cutting. He's always cutting. He walks that line between good and bad quite often. I see him at times with the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other, and a lot of times the devil's the one who's in his ear.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, he's good at that. But he's been a great manager. Can he be a great manager in this game now in 2020? I don't know. His Manchester United teams, it looked like the game had passed him by a little bit.
Yeah, and that's been the going thought, especially now this season.
He also didn't have as much talent, and Tottenham has a bunch of injuries.
Right.
So if you're going to pull it this season, I don't think that's fair.
I don't either, but you have people who are legitimately saying, oh, the game's passed him by, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, who's been injured and who's been...
Yeah,
He's been shorthanded this year. I don't think it's fair to say that about him this year at Spurs.
But look, people are going to pull the same stock arguments every time on anything, and Jose's one that they're going to pull that on. They pulled it at the end of his Madrid time. He's a defensive manager. He's always a defensive manager, and at Madrid he scored over 100 goals and they had over 100 points, and the best season of the last, I think, decade in Spain. Jose had that. His early Chelsea teams were not defensive. Scored a boatload of goals, those early teams. He's, I think, in the true sense of the word, pragmatic. Whatever it takes to win, he will do it.
Yes.
If he's got a team that can win and be expansive and play attacking football, he will. If he's got a team that has to sit and defend, he will. He doesn't care about style. He doesn't care about any of that. He will do whatever it takes to win the match. The way the game has changed with what Guardiola's brought to the table, with what Klopp has brought to the table, can he continue to be an elite manager at this stage? And is he going to have the resources to be an elite manager at Tottenham? Don't know. And that's another question going into next year.
So then let me ask you this.
Okay, one more question, and I've got another quote for you.
If you pulled Jurgen Klopp out of the discussion for Premier League Manager of the Year, put him to the side.
Because it's his trophy.
Yeah. But if you put him to the side and re-voted, who's number one on your ballot?
I mean, I think the easy one is Brendan Rodgers.
Okay. What about Chris Wilder at Sheffield United?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how they finish. I think they're still some debate as to where they're going to end up, and we see if they are able to stay in that top conversation. Does the Champions League chase start to get a little heavy for them? I don't know. I think he could be, but I'd say it's Brendan Rodgers right now. I want to see if you guys agree with this statement. Gerard Piqué said this. I think everybody saw that Lionel Messi went ballistic in the first half last week. Had a hat trick in the first half. He just continues to do things that blow your mind. Piqué said, "Everything has already been said about Maradona. He is a unique player who has given a lot to the sport. He will be remembered forever. If, however, you ask me for a comparison between Maradona and Leo, I choose the consistency of Messi, considering his magic for so many years." Who's better, Messi or Maradona?
See, I'm not that guy.
Why are you not that guy? What's that guy?
Comparing eras, the whole
it's not that
Aaron
different
Ruth discussion.
No, it's not 50 years apart. It's like 30.
But how much is the game different then from when Maradona was to Messi?
The back pass rule, which doesn't affect either one that much.
Okay.
Messi's better. And I love Diego Maradona. That's why I do what I do. But Messi, for the exact same reasons that Piqué is saying, like Messi has been able to do this since 2007, 6, when he really broke through at Barca. 2008, when he was a world superstar. I mean, he played in a World Cup in 2006. And it's 2020, and he's still doing this. 14 years after Maradona played in his first World Cup, where was Maradona 14 years after 1982? It was 1996. He was playing at Boca. He had a giant stripe dyed down the middle of his head. And I think he was getting arrested every other week. So, no, it's Lionel Messi. It's not even a contest.
All right.
Maradona at his absolute peak. Okay, we can have that conversation. Maradona from 85 to 89, where he won titles with Napoli, which they hadn't done before. Won a World Cup in 86 with Argentina with a team that wasn't that great. Okay, we can put that conversation, but which 4-year period are you going to pick from Messi? Because you can pick about 10 of them. All the overlapping years, Messi has so many of those 4-year periods. He's the best player ever. And I think Pelé would be one that it's hard to compare because the eras are far, far, far different.
Right.
But Pelé didn't play against the best competition on a regular basis like Lionel Messi has. Messi has played in La Liga since he broke in. He's played in the Champions League pretty much every year since he broke in. He's had to try to carry Argentine national teams that are incredibly dysfunctional. He has had to do so much and had so much pressure put on him every single year, and he's still doing it. So he's the greatest. And in other eras, Cristiano Ronaldo would be the greatest player of the era. He can't be in this one because Lionel Messi exists.
Pelé, Maradona, or Messi?
Messi. It's not even close. It's not even close. And I love Diego Maradona as a player. I love what he's given to the game, but it's Lionel Messi because Messi has done pretty much everything that Maradona did with the exception of going to a smaller Italian team and winning a title. Maradona did that, and that's incredibly impressive. Carrying a team to a World Cup title, and he almost did it in 2014. About as close as you can take it. But he's done so much more at the club level than Maradona. It's just not even close. And Pelé, playing at Santos, playing in the Brazilian league for the majority of his career, it's not even a comparison between that and La Liga and Barcelona. It's just not.
Okay.
Easy. Lionel Messi.
All right. I see where you're coming from. I'm down with it.
Yeah, I can't even go there. All right. Let us know what you think. Are you hashtag Team Messi? Or are you hashtag Team Ronaldo? Or Team Pelé or Team Maradona? Let us know. Who was it who gave... Independiente gave Maradona another throne this weekend.
That was awesome.
And they lost, and Diego Maradona's team won, which was craziness. And the celebrations were ridiculous, and the celebrations that were not on camera were probably even more ridiculous. And Gimnasia might not get relegated, although everybody else around them keep getting points. So this Copa de la Superliga thing is going to be bonkers in Argentina with the relegation table. Gimnasia is still at the bottom of it right now. Patronato is 3 points ahead of them. Colón is 6 points ahead of them. All three of them are bound to get relegated at this point. Where it gets interesting is the two teams that are outside of it that are the closest are Aldosivi, who only has 2 seasons of results to compare, so a loss would affect them more, a win would help them more, and Central Cordoba, who has 1 season to compare, and losses and wins have a much wider swing with them. So it's not completely out of the realm of possibility. Diego keeps finding wins somehow with Gimnasia. It looks like River Plate is going to win the title. There's 2 weeks left in Argentina. Quite a few Argentine players are coming to MLS when the regular season in the Superliga ends. Gaston Jimenez is coming to Chicago. That was announced today. He's leaving Vélez. River has a 3-point lead on the table. 2 matches to play over Boca. And River this upcoming week, if I can find them on the sheet, they host a team that we love very much, Defensa y Justicia.
They are up 2-0 in the 57th minute currently against Rosario Central.
Hernan Crespo is lighting things up at Defensa y Justicia. We'll see if they can pull an upset on River. Boca would be really, really happy about that. They have to go to Colón, who's one of the worst teams in the league. That's on Friday night. River and Defensa is on Saturday. And in the final weekend, this is where it gets stupid, is Boca hosts Gimnasia and Diego in the final week. And they might need a win to potentially win the league title. I don't know. Diego might throw the game.
If I were Nick Alifi here, I would probably mention something about matches falling a certain way so Diego and Gimnasia would stay.
No. Because Boca's not going to throw the chance to win a league title. You're insane. People would die, John. No, I'm not kidding. People would literally die. That's not happening. No, Boca's not throwing any games. It's going to cost them a league title. You got to be kidding me.
I'm just
No, you're not saying. Don't say that.
As Nick Alifi.
No. And Nick Alifi's mic is turned off, so he doesn't say that because that's insane. People would die.
Yes, they would.
So no, don't play that silliness.
Joey Logan, by the way, is Team Ronaldo.
Who is?
Joey Logan.
Joey. He played at Manchester United, so I get it. Joey's wrong, by the way, but that's okay.
I agree.
That's why we love this game. We all have opinions that are sometimes wrong.
I agree.
All right. Here's the deal. You guys are out there listening live. You have a chance. You can send us a message at Soccer Down Here. You can send it to any of the 4 of us who are sitting here about to start the run-up at Longshoe, at D. Kelly Francis, at OSG Nelson, at Nick Alifi. Send us a message. We will allow you to watch the pilot episode as it is being put together. Oh, okay. Well, never mind. You're not even special if you're listening right now. We were going to try to make it special, but no, Kelly doesn't think you're special. So Kelly's just going to send it out to everybody who is paying attention, and you'll be able to watch us try to figure out how to do a show for the first time. It's going to be good times. But thanks for listening. Soccer over there. We'll be back with some crumpets and espresso later this week. It'll be taped on Thursday. We'll be out for you earlier than usual on Friday.
Yeah.
Yes, and we have one thing before we go with soccer over there right now.
All right, so it's the Garlic Bread Warlord, Nick Alifi, and I have been tweeting today about the coronavirus outbreak in Italy. And the reason why, what does this have to do with international soccer and whatnot? It's everything. There are a series of games in Serie A that have been postponed, moved, canceled. And we're looking at Torino, Parma, Inter, Sampdoria, all postponed. Atalanta, Sassuolo has also been postponed. And then they're talking about playing the Inter Juve game behind closed doors. Now, the major issues here are that the virus has mainly been featured in the Piedmont, which is where Turin is, the Lombardy region, where Milan is, and then the Veneto region, where Venice is. Now, the big issue here is from an economic standpoint. Keep in mind, last November, Venice was under about 5 feet of water. And so they were really hoping that Carnival was going to be their attempt to bounce back. And it just didn't. It's not going to happen now. They're now taking the dramatic step of closing down cities. There are towns that are being barricaded. You cannot go in. You cannot go out. And the cases have exploded to over 200 now. They have 7 deaths. As a result, the crisis is really affecting the financial markets in Italy. It's already affecting the financial markets here stateside. The virus has now worked its way into Emilia-Romagna, which is more of the north-central part of Italy. And why this is going to get worse, and what not a lot of people are talking about yet, is in a little over a month we have Holy Week, in which about 2 million plus visitors will land in Italy if the trend continues, meaning that Rome, Turin, Milan, and Padua, which is where the tomb of St. Anthony is, will all be flooded with religious pilgrims. After that, you have the Euros. So there are a lot of things that are taking place right now that are going to have to be watched and monitored. I'm going to stay on top of this, mainly because it's of something of global importance, I feel. And people are wondering, well, why is this happening in Italy? Why is Italy getting these cases that are exploding? It's because they're actively looking for it. Unlike some other countries where it's kind of swept under the rug, they're keeping it quietly quarantining people. Italy's saying, okay, we're raising the hand. We need help. Let's immediately identify areas that are affected, quarantine them now, and try to put this brush fire out as quickly as humanly possible before the crush hits, if it even does. So far, public masses in Venice have been canceled. The legendary theater in Milan has canceled performances of Fashion Week. Their final 2 shows have been canceled as a result. So it's something where, I saw some people making some jokes about it online. Look, it's all fun and games until it's your family in the area. And one of the people who died was in Padua, which is where my family is. My cousin's a cop there. He doesn't seem to be too terribly worried about it as of yet, but it's something to keep an eye on. If you're traveling anywhere in Europe, there's not an alarm issue here that I'm trying to raise, but Ireland and Bosnia have both issued travel advisories against anyone who's trying to go to Italy as well. So that's a very, very, very quick down and dirty on what has been happening with the coronavirus in Italy and why you're starting to see videos on Twitter of grocery stores being cleaned out and streets being blocked off and matches that will soon be played in front of closed doors. If you have any questions at all, feel free to hit me up at Nicoliffi, Nickaliiffi. Sorry I didn't join for the fun festivities of conversation yet again this week, guys, but I had to bring a little bit of hard news to the show, unfortunately. But until then, we're getting ready for the run-up. I'm looking forward to it. I'm very excited about this. Till next time, mucha mucha euro, yo.
All the lira.